You got the job. You received the promotion. You achieved a goal, and I am happy for you. But then you realize it comes with the responsibility of having direct reports. And you start thinking, well, how bad could it be? I've had managers before. I've been responsible for projects or other things before. I can definitely handle it because I'm good with people. And after coaching leaders for the last 15 years, one of the things that I've noticed is that being good with people and leading teams to higher levels of performance are not exactly the same thing. And thinking that just being good with people will help you achieve your goals, it is not guaranteed to do so. In fact, research suggests that 60% of new managers fail within the first 2 years. I was sitting down with a leader recently who just got a new promotion and she was so excited. So I asked a coaching question that any great leadership coach would ask. What is your plan for the first 90 days? She thought about it for a minute and she said, well, I haven't put much thought to it. And then I had to break the unfortunate news. If you go in without a plan, you increase your likelihood of being in that 60% of managers that fail within the first 2 years. And while it's true, a plan may change, it will adjust, it will be modified. But if you go in with no plan, if you go in with no approach, you're more than likely not going to get the results that you want. So if you got a new promotion, if this is your first opportunity to lead a team with direct reports, this video is for you. This is your 90-day roadmap. This is your game plan, so you don't have to figure it out on your own. And even if you are leading a team and you have the responsibility of direct reports, you will find things in this video before you leave that you can implement to fill a gap of something that you forgot to do, or you are not doing it at a high enough level. And you have that commitment from me. My name is John Eades, author of Building the Best and the Optimistic Outlook. And I have spent the last 15 years studying what the best and the worst leaders do, all in an effort to help you not make those same mistakes, or to give you the tools that the best leaders know. And that's exactly what we're going to do today in getting to your 90-day leadership roadmap. So let's get into it. The very first thing that all great leaders do in the first 90 days is not complicated, but it is important. And the first thing is that they evaluate the current state. Now, the author of Good to Great is a fantastic man, and he's done wonderful work. And I cannot remember his name. No, his name is Jim Collins. And Jim Collins has this unbelievable leadership principle. And if you're writing notes, now's the time to write it down. It is first who, then what? First who, then what? And what Jim Collins figured out, and what many other great leaders that we've studied have figured out, is the very first thing that a new leader needs to do in the first 30 days is to evaluate the people on the team. Who is on the bus? Are they the right fit? And that is a serious endeavor. It might not be a one-day thing. It might be an ongoing thing, a one-on-one with each team member, identifying what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, how they add value to the team or how they subtract from a team, knowing what they've done in the past versus where they want to go in the future. All of these elements are critical because a leader will only go as far and as fast as the team members on it. So the quality of the team, the talent, will impact the height of what a team is able to achieve. So the first and the very most important thing that any leader does is they must evaluate the talent on the team. They must get a roadmap of what the people look like. Now, there are all kinds of tools that you can use. There are evaluations. You can look for team members that are humble, hungry, and smart, like Pat Lencioni says. You can have your own formula. I'm not here to argue the formula, but I am here to say that the first thing that you must do is to evaluate the talent on the team. And while you're doing that, you are creating a perception of who you are as a leader. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that we see new leaders make is they come in thinking that they know it all, thinking that they have the perfect playbook and exactly what they know what to do, and they start implementing it immediately. And they forget that they need to identify what talent they have on the bus, and they need to learn what's working and what's not working. Because if you rip everything out at one time and not even consider what's working, the people on it had a part in establishing what was working or not. And if you rip out their baby, how are they going to feel? Now, that doesn't mean that some of those things might not need to change. They probably do. But if we're going to get people on the bus and make sure they want to be on the bus and get their very best effort, we must first start with evaluating the current state and not being a know-it-all or not expecting that everything must change, but being a student, evaluating like a professor would or like a consultant would, coming in with your eyes wide open, just trying to identify who the people are, who's right, who's not, what's working and what's not. And if you do nothing else in those first 30 days other than learn, take notes, evaluate talent, look for people that are right and not right, then you've really set yourself up for success, which gets you to day 31. So first you've evaluated the current state, and now you're going to set the new course. You have listened enough. Now you must lead. Because very rarely do jobs open up, leadership jobs specifically open up, when things are going really well. There's usually a problem. There's usually someone that's been fired or they've gone somewhere else to get a better opportunity. Something was wrong or missing. So if we keep doing exactly what we were doing before, we're going to keep getting the exact same results. That's a recipe for disaster. So you must set a new course. We must go another direction. It might not be a massively new direction, but we're going to have to do some things differently than we were doing them before. And if you did a good job in those first 30 days, evaluating the talent and creating a good perception, now you're in a good spot to really chart the new course, to set the new direction. And the best way to start that is to establish a shared purpose, to get the new team aligned around where we're going and by when. Something that unifies us together, that gets people excited about where they are going, not where they have been. This is exciting because a team, by definition, is 3 or more people working together to achieve a common goal. Now, you might not have a revenue target or a money target, but you must have some target. You must have something that unifies. I think back to one of the best CEOs I ever studied. His name is Bill McDermott. And Bill McDermott at the time got a sales director role, and he was looking for his first big title, his first big promotion, and he got it. And he was in Puerto Rico. And everybody told him, don't go to Puerto Rico. Don't go to Puerto Rico. It's a dog. It's terrible. But Bill McDermott did something different. He went to Puerto Rico. He met the people. He evaluated what was going on. And he moved his family to Puerto Rico because he saw it as an opportunity. And after those first 30 days of evaluating the talent and creating a perception and learning everything that was working and it wasn't working and what the previous boss had done well and not well, he set a new direction. He got the whole company together and he said, we're going to go from last to first in this company and we're going to do it in 1 year. And when we do it, we're going to throw the biggest party Puerto Rico has ever seen. His team got fired up because the last boss had pulled out everything that made their culture special. And they loved parties and families and getting people together. And not only did they go from last to first, but Bill McDermott threw the biggest party that company had ever seen. And to this day, when he goes back and he sees people that they work with, they don't talk about going from 32 to number 1. They talk about the big party that they threw when they got to number 1. That's what setting a new direction is all about. Creating a shared purpose of what we're trying to achieve together. Because if you don't have a shared purpose, you don't know where you're going. And people don't get excited about the future if they don't know where they're going. So the first thing you have to do is create a shared purpose, but it can't just stop there. We also must set standards of performance that's going to help us achieve that. We can't just say, hey, we're going here, but we're going to do everything the same. Or we're going here, that's so exciting, but we don't set standard of what's expected in order for us to get there. These are core values. These are the core value behaviors that you can both hold yourself and your team members accountable for. Now just imagine for a second, you were driving on a highway today and you thought, I have blue lights behind me. Why am I getting pulled over? I never saw a speed limit sign. The police officer comes up and said, sir, I'm pulling you over for speeding. And you said, but there's no speed limit signs. And he said, well, that's not my problem. You were speeding. How angry would you get? I mean, you would be livid. Because you're fine to be held accountable, but you must know what you're being held accountable for or to. So many leaders miss this step. They might even set a direction, but they don't set standards of performance. They don't create clarity around what's expected or at what level it is expected at. And then they get frustrated when they're not met. And the whole time, it was the leader's fault for not setting clear standards, but then expecting people to embrace accountability. So the second step in day 31 to day 60 is all about setting the new course, creating clarity around a shared purpose and the standards of performance. And it's also likely at this stage, 31 to 60, where if you didn't let somebody go, somebody is starting to reveal themselves as someone that doesn't want to be on the bus anymore, that doesn't get behind where you're going or what the standards of performance are. And this is precisely when you cannot kick the can down the road. You must exit team members that do not buy in, that do not fit where you're trying to go. It doesn't matter how well they are performing. You could do that in the first 30 days. You can also do it between day 31 and 60. But the key is that you're willing and able to make the tough human capital decisions right now. Because if you tolerate someone that doesn't get on the bus, you're teaching people that it's okay. And that behavior that that person is exemplifying will only start to replicate itself in other people. Okay, so day 31 through 60, you are going to set the new course. But then you get to day 61, and now we need to build the machine to get there. Because a vision without execution is just a dream. Now what we have to have is a system, a cadence of execution. This means we have a set meeting where we're covering how we're tracking towards that goal. We know what the priorities are, the 3 to 5 big rocks that are key for us to accomplish there or to get there. We know the initiatives, who owns what and by when. And we're not scared of having the tough conversations. We're not afraid of holding people accountable. We are focused on making small progress towards our goals. And we know execution is at the center of it. We're looking for small wins. We're looking for progress, not perfection. But we are actively building the machine to get us where we're trying to go. And we might adjust it. We might pivot it. We might have a daily stand up. We might then move it to weekly. We might then move it to monthly. But there's some cadence of performance. There's some cadence of execution. So there you have it. You have day 0 through day 90. You've got a roadmap, the first 90-day leadership framework. And it goes like this. Number 1, evaluate the current state. Number 2, set the new course. And number 3, build the machine to get there through the rhythms and the results. Now you might think, John, this is great, but I'm not starting a new job right now. And I get that. You can steal from this. Number 1, does your team know where you're going? Do you have an inspiring goal or a shared purpose that people are fired up about achieving? If not, don't wait. They need it. They need something to be hopeful for and work towards to achieve together. Have you created clarity around the standards of performance? What great looks like, not good looks like, but what does great look like in terms of standards of performance? If you have set those standards of performance, are you holding them accountable to those daily behaviors? And then lastly, do you have a cadence of execution? Do you have a rhythm of performance that you are tracking and measuring against, and people know what is expected and by when? If you can steal any of these 3, no matter where you are, to help your team improve their performance. Now, you might remember at the beginning, that leader that was starting a new job, that didn't have a plan. Well, guess what? She implemented this plan. She went through all 90 days with a roadmap before it started. And I come reporting good news. She's not going to fall into that 60%. In fact, her team is excelling out of the gate. Her boss has already talked to her about a promotion, and she's only 90 days in. See, this is the difference. A leader who fails has no plan. A leader that improves their odds of success comes in with a 90-day plan, and they execute against it. No excuses. You've got it now. And it's my hope that these ideas will help you lead more effectively and ensure you're not in that 60% that fails within 2 years.